Let's talk trades in the morning. If this is your first time checking out one of these videos, we are going to go through 5 players, two wide receivers, 2 running backs, and 1 quarterback. And for each of them, we're going to look at about 25 different real trades that have happened in the past 1 to 2 days, and we'll talk through them. What trades these teams make sense for, or what teams these trades make sense for, whether or not I like the trade at all, and what I think you can get for these players. So we don't make you wait long. We've got the first player here, Emeka Egbuka. These trades come from fantasycalc.com/database. These are real trades that have happened with people who have synced their league to the Fantasy Calc website. So just as trades happen, they automatically get pulled into this database. So here is Emeka Egbuka. Here's the way to read this site. We've got side 1, side 2, and here's where you can tell what this website thinks of the trade. It'll say current diff, and then 950 is pretty close. 120 is very close. 2,700 further off. We're going to limit this down to just no more than 5 pieces in the trade. So that would be a 1 for 4, a 3 for 2, a 2 for 3. So we can get a better gauge of what Emeka Egbuka is worth in trades. He's our first player that we're pulling up. We've got Emeka Egbuka being traded for T. Higgins and David Montgomery. If you have T. Higgins and David Montgomery, I do like Egbuka a little bit more than T. Higgins for the rest of season. And if you have that depth with David Montgomery, right now is the time of the year. We're in week 11 that I want to be consolidating. So if I'm not going to be starting David Montgomery anymore, if he's not someone who's going to be a bye week fill-in for me because I've had my bye weeks, well, then let's get him out of here. Let's get that David Montgomery value into our lineup. So if you want to think of all of your players as dollar value, you want the most expensive starting lineup. And then as we get further in the year, we want a cheaper bench. Let's try to find some other options. You can check out all of these on screen. I'll typically skip over the ones that are bigger value swings, like here. Someone sent Quentin Johnston and Kamara to get Egbuka. You can try it. Someone got it, but it doesn't mean everyone's going to get it. So you could take something similar to this. This might be a player who's been saying, I need a second running back. I have Emeka Egbuka, but I don't have a running back. So if you have Alvin Kamara, start trying different wide receivers. Quentin Johnston, I think, will have a wide value of ranges based on which specific person in your league you ask. Most people, I think, would say no to this trade, but someone got it. So you might be able to as well. Again, unlikely, but someone did. So here's a closer one. Saquon Barkley and Egbuka for Jonathan Taylor and Rashid Shaheed. So this is, you can cross this one and say, Jonathan Taylor, much more valuable than Saquon, or a little bit more valuable. But then the jump from Shaheed to Egbuka, I think this is a bit too much. I understand some of the hype on Shaheed here, where I might split Jonathan Taylor and go with these 2 really solid players. Again, it's going to depend on the depth of your team. I think in a lot of situations, I would stick with Taylor just as the stud asset and try to find a second wide receiver in a different way. I've seen a lot of people ask in trades like this, hey, I'm looking for a more solid wide receiver too. Should I send Jonathan Taylor away to make it happen? And typically I would say not necessarily. Not necessarily. If I had this side of the deal, Egbuka and Saquon Barkley, why might I take this one over here? Maybe if I had a team that had Egbuka, Lamb, Rice, Olave, and the way to make my starting lineup better is to say Rashid Shaheed will become my replacement player. He will be my 1 or 2 reserve options in case of injuries. And then Jonathan Taylor makes my starting lineup better. So I could see both sides of that deal. Here, Egbuka for Kyren Williams is a really solid 1-to-1 running back crossover for this player. Looks like Egbuka for Pittman. I also favor Egbuka just like the community does. Here's Emeka Egbuka for Rico Dowdle. We're getting into the same range of running back. Dowdle, Kyren Williams, a little bit on top of Egbuka for Josh Jacobs if you're looking for just that. And I'll leave these on screen. You can pause it as well or run it back. And then we'll check if we can find anything where, actually, you could pause that there, and then we're going to look for a trade involving just a tight end to cover our bases. If we can find one that makes sense. Each of these, you can see them as they go past, but here, Egbuka for Kittle and DJ Moore. Like, I might also want a better wide receiver than DJ Moore, but if I'm trying to replace Tucker Kraft or a tight end that I've had, I could understand moving Egbuka. If you got maybe back Olave and George Kittle, something like that, I would feel more inclined to take because I'm generally agreeing. I like the Egbuka side here. Egbuka and Juwan Johnson for Trey McBride is about where I think the crossover is. This one makes sense to me. You could add a slightly different receiver there. If you wanted to plug in a different running back, you could think like Woody Marks, that level of player. Let's jump to the next player that we've got today. We've got another wide receiver. This one has been much more volatile. The value has jumped up and down all season. It's A.J. Brown. We were drafting him second or third round in our drafts way back in summer. But now what's he going for? Value crossover, just DK Metcalf. Seems a little bit safer. I don't do a ton of 1-for-1 deals like this where we're just calling out like, I think DK is better than AJ. Which two-letter player do you like better? I don't make a ton of trades like that because it makes one side win and one side lose. And I think there's a lot of trades where neither team has to lose that you can try to find. If you wanted to split AJ Brown, Deebo Samuel, and Jordan Addison, maybe. If you just wanted a running back, a lot of people are getting Rico Dowdle. His name is popping up all over the place. I think you could get a better tight end than just Travis Kelce. I think that's fair to say. If you wanted, could you get Tyler Warren? Could you get Jake Ferguson? I think you could. AJ Brown just for Garrett Wilson. I'm going to say I like the AJ Brown side. Maybe this trade was made without proper knowledge of Garrett Wilson's injury. Garrett Wilson is also, I mean, he didn't play in last night's game, but he would not have, I mean, at this point, you wouldn't be able to get him. AJ Brown for RJ Harvey. RJ Harvey, his value is probably lagging a bit behind. We're expecting him to have a bigger role on Sunday with J.K. Dobbins missing time for maybe a couple weeks. So I think I'm okay with something like that. And then again, we'll try to find you a tight end. Okay, yeah, so just like we had said, Travis Kelce, not quite lining up, but Tyler Warren, I think we had gotten there. So I just wanted a little bit of validation. For the next player, we have Achane. Great running back, put up 40 points last week. This is someone that, if you didn't know, Achane, I think, finished last year as running back 3. And down the stretch when Tua was playing, Tua was injured in week 2 of last year and missed about 4 or 5, I think, ish weeks. Single digits, fits on one hand, a number of weeks. But when Tua came back, Achane was RB1 numbers. I think Gibbs finished RB1 on the season total, but Achane was scoring the same numbers in the stretch with Tua. So what we saw with 40 points, like that makes sense. We do worry about the Dolphins offense a little bit. Here's someone sent Achane for Bijan Robinson. If we were drafting right now, again, I would still take Bijan ahead, but Achane is that type of player. Let's find one where we're splitting him here. If you just needed wide receiver and a different running back, Ladd McConkey and Ashton Genty, I think in a lot of situations, I'm taking the one side. Most of the time, I'm taking the short side of a trade, a 1-for-2. My fingers weren't showing up. A 1-for-2, I want the 1. It's hard to look at myself inverted. Here's one, Achane. Maybe we could skip that one. It's not so close. Achane for Puka Nacua and Tyrone Tracy. If you have no wide receivers, like I'm not sure why I would. I think you can find a different wide receiver in a different way where I'd probably take the Puka side actually. If I have RB depth and I just could get Puka Nacua there, I'm probably doing that. And then crossover for quarterbacks, you should get something much more than just Lamar Jackson for Achane. I know they may have been drafted close to each other. Achane early second round, Lamar Jackson mid to late second round, early third round. There's a whole round there. I don't know that I like it this far off, 4,000 across, but I do like Achane much more than Lamar Jackson. I would want something like, I mean, J.K. Dobbins is injured, but if I wanted another running back on there, Travis Etienne, at the very least, and probably more if I were sending Achane for Lamar and other things. And actually, Lamar is going to be the 5th player in this video. Let's jump to the 4th one, and then we'll just cover Lamar. Here's a really cheap running back option, Alvin Kamara. This is someone I think a lot of people should trade for to cover an RB2 problem. On our daily live streams, we get people asking, I need a solid running back too. And then they say, should I do this deal? And it involves them sending Puka away. I don't know that I want to send Puka away just to solve an RB2 problem. Couldn't you send George Pickens and get Kamara and more? This heavily favors the George Pickens side. You should be able to get Kamara and another wide receiver back. Kamara and Pearsall easily. Kamara and Devonta Smith and throw Kamara on there. George Pickens for Kamara and Jaylen Waddle's getting up there in value, but could you get Cortland Sutton and Kamara for George Pickens? We're starting to get into those ranges where you can find a usable running back. You can sub in Alvin Kamara for someone like Woody Marks in a lot of just, I need an RB2 type problems. Here's someone split Javonte Williams for Kamara and Nick Chubb. I don't understand how the Alvin Kamara and Nick Chubb side would help a team if you have Javonte Williams. Again, even if you don't have an RB2, you need another one. I'd like you to solve it in a different way. There's Travis Etienne for Alvin Kamara and Keenan Allen. I like this as an up tier. I like this a lot as an up tier. If you're looking at your team and you have 4 or 5 viable flex options, Keenan Allen, Alvin Kamara, other guys in that range, Romeo Dobbs, Khalil Shakir, send 2 away and just get a better flex option. We're at the point where we're through buys. Travis Etienne will help your team more than having both of these players. So that's a lot of the reasons why I want to do a 2-for-1 trade. Let's take a look at quarterbacks for the last player here. We've got Lamar Jackson. Here's someone sent Lamar Jackson and just got Joe Burrow. Again, not one I understand. Each of these are 1 quarterback leagues. Lamar is playing now, and when he's playing, he's better than Joe Burrow. So I prefer that. Let's find some for some players. Lamar for DJ Moore. I don't know that Lamar should be that cheap. I think it should be at least DK Metcalf. It should be even higher than DK Metcalf. Lamar for Aaron Jones. Maybe these are people that have 2 running backs and someone is shipping out, or 2 quarterbacks and someone is shipping out Lamar. We talked about that yesterday when we went over Pat Mahomes. We talked about it the day before when we went over Drake May and the different types of 2 quarterback combinations you could have. I still think you should be getting more for Lamar. Here's that same trade we covered, Lamar for Achane. I think it's more realistic to say Lamar for somewhere between Josh Jacobs and Kyron Williams. If we're just looking for a receiver, and we can split this down to just 2 to 3 assets in the deal. Lamar for Bo Nix and Terry, I don't quite like. That's not really what we're looking for. Lamar for Jaylen Waddle. If you had Jaylen Waddle and you just want an excellent 1 quarterback, maybe you have been rolling with Flacco and he could disappear in a couple weeks. I think I'm okay sending Jaylen Waddle and just putting Lamar in there. Lamar and Rico Dowdle to get up to Amon-Ra St. Brown. Similar concept. If you've found extra value, there's plenty of teams that have Rico Dowdle and Drake May and Lamar. And if that's you, let me know in the comments. If there's another player you want to see, let me know in the comments. But I would really, if that's a team that I have, let's just get Amon-Ra into our starting lineup. Your Lamar for George Pickens. I think that's a good crossover point. I think that's a good place to stop on these. I'll scroll down so you can see the bottom. So that I said we'd cover 25 for each player. Here's at least 25 for Lamar Jackson. If there's a player you want to see in one of these videos, let me know. AJ Brown came from the comments. We will get it in the next one. So we'll probably drop another one of these tomorrow on Saturday morning. Going into week 11, get you more trades. And I'll try to find people that are unlikely to see large value shifts in Sunday so that the video for Saturday will still be usable Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and next week. And it'll have a couple weeks of value. If this helps you get a trade done, let me know in the comments. Come celebrate. If you're looking for a place to ask your trade questions, we've got a Discord. You can find a link to it in the description. Thank you very much for checking this out. I'll see you in the next one.